When we think about the learning and development space and we think about training employees and things like talent development and all the things that we have going on in the workspace, and we think about, artificial intelligence coming into play, and that's certainly going to disrupt some things. One of the things that I think training departments have done a phenomenal job of for years, and I think it's greatly, I think really often very misunderstood. We see a trainer get in front of a classroom for 6, 7 hours. And, when I talk to my training friends, we often talk about it's entertainment. You got to hold people's attention. We hear it all the time. When I go to client sites, people say, "Oh, do you want to see your evaluation forms?" I go, "No," because often it's cloaked in, you showed up and they really liked you. I don't care. I kind of care, but I don't care. I want to know, are they applying it? And so fundamentally, for decades, we have gotten in this cyclical effect of we need more training. Training's not the problem. And one of the things that training departments do exceptionally well is they design programs, they do curriculum development, they design online learning, they design seminars and workshops, and they do all these uh, implementations on LMS platforms. And my wife will often say, when I go to the training magazine conference, "Boy, you're so excited." And I said, I'm in the training field, but I'm kind of a first or second cousin to the training field, but I support training. Coaching, I think, is the greatest reinforcement tool for training. So if someone goes to a negotiation skills class and a leader's ready to coach that person after class, that's a pretty powerful combination. I don't think anyone in training would argue that. And she said, "Well, you're so excited." And I said, "Because it's a very thankless job." And she looks at me and she goes, "What do you mean?" And I go, "When you do a class for 6, 7 hours, Beth, you're dead. So next week I'm in Nebraska. I will go 4 straight days on my feet. I will be dead by Friday. I will be just exhausted, ready to grab a beer, grab a soda, and relax at the airport." And so, one of the things that I think training departments do really well, and I think we've kind of bypassed this as an opportunity, what I'm about to share. When you think about kids in youth sports, right? You think about a kid who goes to practice. Can you imagine if they got a note home? Your kids came home with a note from the coach saying, "Nah, we're going to forego practice and planning for the rest of the year. We're just going to show up for games." You'd probably think your coach is nuts, right? And so it begs the question, if we know leaders need to coach, and I'm infamous for saying this for 30 years, my view still has not changed. Leaders will tell you, "I don't have time to coach." That is not the real reason. It's a mask for I don't know what to do and say. So, what training departments do exceptionally well is they put together these programs, they spend a ton of time on design, they put things together, it's timed out, curriculum is designed, materials are created, videos are shot, videos are produced, audio is produced, there's an editing process, so much more to the naked eye than people even know. And then we got to get up and deliver it. Now, I put myself in that category, but I think training departments do a phenomenal job. So, what bridges the gap from training to leaders coaching? I think it's as fundamental as the plan. And so, if I gave you an assignment to get up and give a speech, and I say, "I'm going to give you a topic of training, no subtopic. I'm not going to give you an outline, no time to prepare. And by the way, don't use notes and do not prepare." You would think I'm nuts, right? So the same premise holds true here. So when a leader gets an employee coming back from a class of negotiation skills, what they need is a plan. We call it a coaching map. We call it something that makes it easier for what to say and what to do. And that really is the real reasons why people don't coach. Resistant. How do I coach someone with a negative attitude? How do I coach someone who's always late for work and wants to get promoted? How do I coach someone? Oh, by the way, it's the nephew of the CEO and he has an attitude problem and he's never on time. Those are tough conversations. Now, when we tie it to what our training departments do, and you think about negotiation skills, think about that topic for a second. If someone goes to a 1 or 2 day class on negotiation skills, do we honestly think for the next 350 plus days of the year that person's going to negotiate flawlessly? Of course not. So the leader has a responsibility to either grab that ball or not grab that ball. If they grab that ball, what do they have to do? They have to ask questions. That's coaching. So what'd you learn? What'd you apply? What gaps exist? What do you think we could do together to continue to improve in this area? The second thing is, and I talk about it all the time, it's not sexy, it's not noble, It's not popular. It's not even something that people want to do. We have to practice. So if you have topics like negotiation skills, handling price objections, dealing with angry customers, having difficult conversations, if I honestly came into your company and said, for gosh sake, don't make them practice, just have them go do it, you'd think I'm a lunatic, right? So what if we had coaching plans that streamlined the process, that gave our leaders step by step what they had to do? And we made it easier for them to coach. Doesn't mean they just flawlessly coach. I'm not so sure there is ever this thing called flawless coaching. But if we gave them a framework and step by step, here are the questions, here are the activities, here's how you can hold them accountable with learning projects. And when you don't have time, here's some really cool activities called supplemental coaching. Now, what I just gave you a depiction of is our coaching framework called QALMS, QALMS. So what I'm sharing in this video is that we have a really cool opportunity, especially with AI. See, when AI comes into play, things are going to accelerate faster and faster. So we're going to need our leaders to coach. Now, the risk is, are they going to say, well, let AI do the coaching? Oh, be careful. What are your thoughts? Put some comments in here. Let me know what you think about this topic. But I think one of the most fundamental things that's missing is the coaching plan that supports training. Those two together are really powerful. Let me know your thoughts.